Hey, what's up guys? Drew here over at RevHiker Outdoors with episode 2 of Knife Thursdays. Would that be 4? Or either way, this is the second episode of Knife Thursday, and this second episode almost didn't happen. I've been really sick the last few days. When I was supposed to be filming this, I couldn't talk, I couldn't anything. You can probably still hear that I'm a little sick, and I've been really busy. I'm actually right now I'm kind of doing two things at once. I'm making this Knife Thursday video, and I'm grilling my dinner, and boy, this is going to be a good steak here. A friend of mine is a farmer, and so I get really good meat, and he gives it to me, so it's awesome. Anyway, I'm working on this steak here, and I wanted to make this video on knife abuse or knife hard use or whatever. I wanted to kind of differentiate between the two, and this is kind of like a personal subject, because I've seen people that to them it's normal use, it's just what they normally do with a knife, and other people say you're abusing that thing, you're killing it. So I wanted to give you my opinions on it, and just talk, and at the end of this video, or now if you want to jump the gun, you can go ahead and toss your thoughts on what is abuse, or if you disagree with me or whatever in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think is actually knife abuse versus just regular use or hard use. So the knife that I'm going to give you guys as an example and kind of share some stuff with you is my Benchmade Contigo. This knife is built like a tank, and I love it. It's a great knife, super grippy, M4 steel, which is just got to be my favorite, I think. And it's just built beefy. I know there's going to be some cold steel fanatics out there that think that the Axis lock is garbage and the Triad lock is the only lock in the world. It's not, by the way. There's plenty of other good locks. This thing has been very strong for me, and I have done with this knife what some would consider abuse. Now, if you take a look at this, you'll see that a lot of the coating is worn off, and it's got some scratches in it. You also see that sweet mirror edge from my Wicked Edge system, but there's a lot of different places where stuff is worn off of this because it's been used pretty hard. So for example, I'll give you some things that I thought probably were abuse on this knife, but I did them anyway because it's what I had and I needed to get the job done. This thing, I had a rubber mallet, and I was trying to cut a hole in a ceiling. Really long story, I'm not going to get into it, but I was using a rubber mallet and pounding on the spine of this thing to beat it through drywall, basically, on the ceiling. So, and also the lath. It used to be plaster and lath. They stripped the plaster off, they slapped some gypsum board up there, and so I was pounding this through the lath and the drywall. Now, a lot of people are going to say that's abuse, especially on a folder. I mean, maybe if it was a fixed blade that would be more acceptable, but let me put it to you this way. My dad always taught me, I've ridden motorcycles and four-wheelers and dirt bikes my whole life, and he always told me that you can ride hard and still not abuse your bike. And I always wondered about that. And the way he taught me is that you can ride the machine to its to what it's designed to take, and it's not abusing it. But if you're not maintaining it and you're just slamming it into stuff and you're throwing it down and you're dropping it, just not caring, that's abuse. If you're riding hard and you're riding fast and you're hitting big jumps and stuff, he goes, that's not abusing a bike, that's using a bike. And so for me, a knife is the same way. I maintain my knife. I take care of it. I keep it oiled. I keep it clean. I keep it sharp. And if there was ever an issue, being that's a Benchmade, I can just send it in and they'll fix it. And while I'm using it hard, I'm making sure to hold it in the correct way, to not put all the pressure on the lock or whatever. It's all getting focused on the blade. So you might say that's total abuse, but I would probably disagree. I think you can use a knife hard and it's not abusing it. Now, I've had knives and I've seen guys use knives where they abuse them. So here's what I would call abuse. That same exact thing, okay, where I was hitting with a rubber mallet right here, rubber mallet, to beat through some drywall. I could have done the same thing, but if I used a metal hammer and I was hammer on it here, right at the point where the lock is, and I was beating right on this edge and just whipping the crap out of it, that's abuse. The same goal was accomplished, but one didn't harm the knife except for the coating, and one beat the living snot out of it and nicked it and beat it up. And then when I'm done, I just toss the knife down, or I don't want to fold it and put it in my pocket, so I just drop it on the floor. To me, that's abuse. You're not caring about it. You see someone's knife and it's got nicks and chunks out of the blade, and the tip is a little busted off, and it just looks absolutely whipped, and it's all scratched up on the side because they throw it, they kick it, they skid on it, they just don't care about it. To me, that's abuse. There's no maintenance on it. If it's a steel that requires oil, if it's a high carbon blade, you're going to find rust all along the edge and in the pivot, or if it's a fixed blade, just on the blade in general. To me, that's abuse, where there's no maintenance and there's no care taken while you're using it hard. All right. So I don't know. To me, look, and some people, they think that abuse is anytime you're using a knife where you're not just cutting something, and I think it depends on the knife. There's some kind of thin gentleman type folders that are slenderly made. I guess like a slip joint, I wouldn't do that to, because it's not going to take it. So I think dependent on the knife abuse varies. There's some, I've seen some fixed blades where they've got a 1/4 inch thick blade stock. It's going to be very difficult to abuse those things, especially I've seen a couple that are in 3V, one of the toughest steels out there, and they're 1/4 inch thick. Now, really, that's like a glorified pry bar. That's a pry bar with a sharp edge. But anyway, I think abuse really has to do with your intent. If you don't really give a rip about the knife and you're just kind of beating on it, to me, that's abuse. If you maintain the knife and you're just trying to get a job done, you can use it hard and it's not going to kill the knife. It's not abuse. I know I'm forgetting some stuff that I really wanted to say with this, but I'm still sick and I got a wicked headache, so you guys will have to forgive me. I don't think batoning is abusing a knife. It's not something that I do because I don't really need to up here. There's plenty other ways to find dry wood or process wood that I don't need a baton, but I don't necessarily think it's abuse. I think chopping with a knife is much more abuse than batoning. Chopping has a lot more potential to chip and beat up your blade, and it's just kind of goofy thing to do with a knife, in my opinion, if you're talking outdoor stuff. Abuse with a folder for me would be jamming it in something and really prying on it, but prying on it from the handle and putting all that stress here. There's been times, look at the thickness on the back of this spine. I mean, this is a beefy folder. There's been times where I've wedged this in something and I've held it right here just to pop something up, where the pressure wasn't on the tip, it was more in this area. So to me, that's not abuse, because it's nothing that could possibly break blade steel of this quality and thickness. But if I just rammed it in something and I'm twisting on it, or I see guys testing knives all the time, let's test tip strength, and they jam it into a log or a board and they keep popping it up to the side. It's like, I don't really test my knives that way because I don't ever intend to do that. If the blade is ground a certain way and it's got a certain level of quality, of course it's going to hold up. But anyway, guys, maybe you totally disagree with me and you think that I beat the snot out of my knives. Go ahead and throw that in the comments below if you disagree with me. But to me, a knife is a tool, and it's meant to be used. I have some expensive knives, but none of them are safe queens. None of them sit in the safe. Well, there's one that I only use just for cutting and slicing stuff. I've never really used it hard, and that would be my Benchmade Crooked River, and because that thing is just so stinking pretty. Now I've cut some beefy stuff with it, but I would never do with it what I would do with this. It's ground differently. It's made differently. So again, what I would consider abuse on the Crooked River, I wouldn't consider abuse on this, or hard use. So anyway, guys, I'm done talking. I can barely breathe right now. So I'll catch you guys later. My steak is just about done. Right after, stick around after the credits roll, and I'll give you a shot of the steak. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think about knife abuse and what the punishment should be in the comments below. Thanks for watching, guys. As always, God bless. Don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe. I'll catch you next time. Okay, here's the best part of the video. Yes. Look at that. Oh, look. We still got some... Yeah. Still got some red in there. It's going to be nice and medium rare. When it's all said and done, I'm going to gobble it up.